This is Good Morning Transfers. The battle to sign Benjamin Sesko is on, but will he choose Manchester United or Newcastle United? Eddie Howe sends a warning to Alexander Isak as the striker seeks a move away. We've got the latest coming up. Chelsea summer spending goes past £250 million. We'll assess the business they've done and who they might target next. Tottenham bring in their sixth signing of the summer. Will Thomas Frank continue to be active as Heung-min Son departs? Good morning to you at home and those watching on YouTube. Welcome to European football expert Kevin Hatchard and to Dan Kahn too. We're going to start with Newcastle United. What a few days it's been for them. We are going to go to the club's training ground shortly to speak to our reporter there. But first of all, with Dan and Kevin, we're going to be talking about Benjamin Sesko because that's who Newcastle are targeting, but so are Manchester United. Right, Kevin, the demand for Sesko, why is there such a demand? And remember, Arsenal have wanted him in the past as well.
Yeah, I think because he's got so much potential in terms of his physical gifts. He is unusual in the sense that he's very tall, but he has pace as well. He has an incredible ability to strike the ball. Some of the goals that he's been able to score, really quite phenomenal. He scores all types of goals. And actually in a poor Leipzig team last season, he was still able to deliver. He was still able to score goals in the Champions League, still able to score goals in the Bundesliga, and he didn't let his head drop even though heads were dropping all around him. And the season before that, he showed some promise as well. So he started to get that consistency into his game. And I think it's the fact that he's got quite a high ceiling that's attracting clubs to him.
Right, we'll get more on this now and go, as we promised, to Newcastle United's training ground and speak to our reporter Pete Graves. Right, Pete, Alexander Isak, I'm going to start with him before Sesko. He returned to the country this weekend after that rejected bid from Liverpool on Friday. Is there any sign of him there today?
Not yet, Tom. No, I'm watching. I'm here. I'm watching. No cars have come down the lane yet. This is their club's training ground. Before I talk about the football, little weather report. Storm Floris. Winds of up to 85 miles an hour predicted today. Rain. Hope it's lovely in the studio for you three there. Hope you're having a great day. It's chilly here, but the weather in some ways reflects Newcastle United's transfer window, doesn't it? It's been a very stormy time here up on Tyneside. As you say, Isak is back in the UK. We believe he's here in the northeast. We still don't know whether he's going to come here to the training ground today, but we're keeping a close eye on it. The rest of the squad, without Alexander Isak, have all been on a flight overnight. They played in South Korea in Seoul yesterday, drew 1-1 with Tottenham Hotspur. Their flight back with Eddie Howe and all the rest of the squad has landed in the last sort of 20 minutes or so, so they're also back in the northeast now. Whether Eddie Howe comes here and then meets with Alexander Isak today is yet to be seen, or whether that may happen tomorrow, we'll have to wait and see. I believe there was a short delay on the flight back from South Korea, so you've presumably got a lot of tired players and a tired manager there arriving here back on Tyneside today. But clearly the situation needs resolving as soon as possible, with the season getting closer all the time. And there were some quotes from Eddie Howe yesterday. He told the Daily Mail, and this is as strong as I've heard Eddie in a long time, talking about Alexander Isak. He said, "You have to earn the right to train with us. We are Newcastle United. The player has a responsibility here to be part of a team and part of a squad. You have to act in the right way, so that is also at play here. No player can expect to act poorly and then train with the group as normal." So clearly a warning shot from Eddie Howe towards Alexander Isak. He's not gone on this pre-season tour in Asia. He's not played any pre-season at all. The official line is he's got a thigh problem, but as we've reported, we understand that he wants to explore his options away from Newcastle United, and we know Liverpool are there. They've made a formal bid, 110 million plus add-ons, and our understanding is that Alexander Isak is looking at that offer, of course. Well, not the offer, because that hasn't been accepted. Newcastle United want 150 million pounds. That's the asking price, clearly some way away from that Liverpool offer. But can they resolve things, or will he be sold? The club have got a big decision to make on what they do with Alexander Isak.
Yeah, you're in the right place, I suppose. So when he is there, we'll find out whether he's training with the team or not to start with. But what about replacing him if he goes, of course, because he hasn't gone yet. A bid has gone in for Benjamin Sesko. Where do we stand with that?
Well, yeah, Newcastle United looking for a player. Well, they need a striker anyway. There was an argument that they needed 2 strikers before this window started when they thought they were going to have Isak in the squad next season. Callum Wilson has gone, of course, on a free. He's signed for West Ham. They have William Asula, who can play up front, but he's still very young, still very raw. So there was some suggestion before this window even started that they'd be looking for 2 strikers. Now with this situation with Isak, clearly there's a huge necessity to bring in more options in the forward line. Benjamin Sesko is seen and not very far away from being accepted, is my understanding of that situation. And Eddie Howe will be hopeful that Sesko can come here to the club and be a key player for them next season. There is, of course, this worry that Manchester United are also looking at Benjamin Sesko, although at this moment in time, the only offer on the table for RB Leipzig is the offer from Newcastle United. And Sesko, we understand, is intrigued by the project here at Newcastle United as well. And clearly, Sesko is the sort of profile player who could come in, and certainly Newcastle United supporters would be excited by a signing of his stature. So it would certainly soften the blow if the club decided to cash in, sell Alexander Isak. We know if they do that, it's going to be a Premier League record transfer because they've already knocked back 110 plus add-ons. So if Liverpool are going to come back in, they're going to have to come in higher than that. So it's likely to be a Premier League record as far as the transfer fee is concerned if they decide to sell Alexander Isak. Of course, the coming days, today, tomorrow, and what that sort of relationship is like between Isak and Eddie Howe when they're all back together here behind me is going to be key. Interestingly, Eddie Howe, when speaking about Isak, we know he's been training in Spain, Real Sociedad, his old club. I don't think there was so much a surprise from the club that happened because a lot of Isak's team are still based in that part of the world. However, Eddie Howe revealing that he actually found out about that through the media, which tells a lot, doesn't it, about how much the player and Eddie have been speaking. So, yeah, it's a tricky situation, but if Sesko can be secured from RB Leipzig, like I said before, I understand they're not too far away now in terms of the fee. It's just the structure of payments. If that can be agreed and they can bring Sesko here, then that would certainly appease the supporters, I think, and to some extent, Eddie Howe.
Yeah, deadline day is 4 weeks today. I've got a feeling that you and Eddie Howe will be very busy in that time. Pete, thank you. Right, OK, so we've got Kevin and Dan with us. We talked about why the demand is so big for Sesko, but of course, we are now comparing Sesko to Isak because it might be one out, one in at Newcastle. How different are they as strikers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, physically, they're significantly different. Isak is a lot more polished in what he does, but of course, that's been a process. There is still a rawness about Sesko, but you look at his journey. He was at Salzburg, and he took a while to get going there, but once he did, he started to score goals. And I do think he's dynamic enough. I do think he's physical enough to deal with the Premier League. And what I like about him is that he's not scared to try things. There was a goal towards the back end of last season that I commentated on against Bayern, where the goalkeeper, Jonas Urbik, was a long way off his line. A lot of players would just lift that ball over the top of the goalkeeper. He went, "Now I'll just hit it with the outside of my boot."
Yeah,
we've just backed myself.
Showed that goal a lot, and rightly so, because
he strikes the ball beautifully. Decision making sometimes needs a bit of work, but he's 22. So I think clubs are looking at him and thinking he's got a high ceiling.